Welcome back, Wolfpack. Brolis here, and this is how to use Mienshao. Now, you might have noticed in the title screen that we had OP with a question mark. So this video is mostly going to be breaking down the merits of if Mienshao is actually a really strong Pokemon or not. So when we break it down, it's going to have 125 on the attack, 95 on the special attack, it doesn't really matter too much, and 105 on the speed. Now, defenses and hit points are so low, we only have two stats to look at. That's going to be the speed, and that's going to be the attack, which are alright. So 105 speed. I've seen it as a good stat and a bad stat at the same time. You know, 105 speed, you're going to outspeed the massive amount of 100 base speed Pokemon, also 101, 102 base speed Pokemon as well, but you're still going to not be in a very comfortable sweeping range, especially with these incredibly hyper frail defenses. You know, you're the ultimate glass cannon, you need to be faster. So if a Pokemon outspeeds you, it's going to be very, very bad. And you just have a very high chance of getting neutrally one-hit KO'd by a lot of different moves. That could be problematic. Looking at its typing, it's a pure fighting type. None of this really matters. Like, the resistances, kind of, but all you have to do is bunch the weaknesses and the neutral hits into the same category, because you're definitely not surviving any flying, psychic, or fairy type attacks, unless you have a Focus Sash or something like that. But even neutral hits, you see a strong neutral hit, I mean, it's going to be over for you anyways because you have no survivability whatsoever. And you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if there's like some kind of statistic where a choice banded Mega Horn from some kind of random Pokemon knocks out Mienshao even as a resisted hit. It's that frail of a Pokemon. However, hopping into Pokemon Showdown, we see a lot of diversity from the Mienshao and a lot of really, really good things going for it. So it's a 125 attack Pokemon that gets high jump kick, so 130 base power and reckless. Pokemon's attacks with recoil crash damage, high jump kick counts as crash, has 20% more power, not including struggle. So we're going to be doing a stab move with 125 attack that has 130 base power that also gets another 20%. That's really, really good. And then we can kind of combo into things really well, that we are so frail that a gentle breeze is going to knock us out. So we use Focus Sash, we survive, and now we get access to the Acrobatics. Acrobatics is going to jump up in power, we get Stone Edge, which is high damage, and we even have Knockoff, or whatever else we want to run, because we do get a good amount of coverage overall, that we can add the Poison Jab to kind of hit the fairy types that threaten us. I feel Knockoff isn't that great unless you're only looking for like that situation, like you can't KO anything, so you might as well get a nice chunk of damage and then a little bit of utility from removing the item. That's kind of all there is to Knockoff, but if you're looking for the sweep, might as well include the coverage of a Poison Jab. So when it comes to Mienshao, speed is kind of it. You need to go jolly, you need to outspeed everything you can. Rest is attack, and then you just kind of hope for one-hit KOs. Now here's where we kind of have to question if Mienshao's OP or not. High jump kick, even with all of this ridiculous damage, not always going to find neutral one-hit KOs, and that could be a big problem. Pokemon like Garchomp. Garchomp, even if it's an offensive Garchomp, say like some kind of Life Orb Garchomp, you're not going to one-hit KO with that high jump kick. That's not good because then you just eat an Earthquake and it's over. So that's kind of what we're talking about. Now, a lot of other Pokemon, we find the base Pokemon that we're always talking about. You know, if they have 80s in the hit points, 80s in defenses, that high jump kick is looking for neutral KOs. So depending on what you're using Mienshao for, going to be pretty nice, but at the same time, it's not going to be a good Pokemon for every situation. So its sweeping isn't super universal. That's just something to note. Also, if you get outsped, it's over anyways, but there's so much damage potential coming from this Pokemon. Now we can also remedy that with a Choice Scarf. So when we're running the Choice Scarf, it is going to give us more damage in a weird way because we run the Adamant Nature. So we don't have to worry about our speed because we're going well over 450 speed, so we're going to outspeed pretty much everything, and then we just have the attack and we're going to be good to go. So we're getting more damage on the set, however, doesn't really mean too much. So say we have like pure tank Garchomp, we're barely going to two-hit KO it, and even if we have like an offensive Garchomp, so Garchomp with no hit point and no defensive investment, what's that going to do? Still not one-hit KOing, and the Earthquake is going to be absurd amounts of damage. So again, if this is Adamant, it just has to be Adamant, and it's doing a very high amount, and if it's Life Orb, definitely knocking us out with a neutral Earthquake. So if we're boosting the right amount of damage, it's not going to look good for us, and if they're using Outrage, then it even takes less for them to sweep us. So they survive the hit, then they can do whatever they want back to us, and that's going to be a problem for Mienshao because it's so frail. So that's going to be how Choice Scarf works. Pretty much the same idea, but the Focus Sash does give us that second chance. Now, Garchomp is going to be the exception because it also has the recoil whenever we make contact on it, so that's going to be a problem because it breaks our Focus Sash. So really there's no win-win in some situations. However, we do still put out really high amounts of damage, and we can carry that over for the Focus Sash or the Scarf or whatever we want. And the Focus Sash does give us kind of that one free break, but if we get past that, then we're still in trouble, or if the Sash does get broken. Now, another huge problem about Mienshao. It's super Will-O-Wisp bait. That if they have a prankster Pokemon with Will-O-Wisp, you're going to have a bad time. If they have any kind of Will-O-Wisp, you know, a tanky Pokemon, survives your hit, throws out the Will-O-Wisp, now Mienshao is absolutely worthless, and then you just kind of lose a Pokemon for free, because now it gets super easily knocked out, doesn't threaten enough damage, and it's going to be okay. So let's go and talk about some other damage options on the Mienshao. I've seen Drain Punch on Mienshao. Terrible, terrible, terrible move. I have no idea why people put this on it. It's so incredibly rare that you'll do enough damage to like 2-hit KO with the Drain Punch, but then barely survive in like some kind of weird damage roll that you're either getting one shot or you're not in a lot of situations. And Drain Punch isn't going to pull you into like a 3-hit KO range or something like that. If you're a 2-hit KO, you're a 2-hit KO when it comes to Mienshao. Now people do say they don't run the high jump kick because of the risk for crash. Now, Crash is a really bad thing if you get outplayed on like a Protect or something, or if they switch into a Ghost-type Pokemon. Jump Kick does have that recoil as well, but the accuracy is a little better. So if you want a 5% less chance of missing for a lot less damage, and that's kind of what you can do for Jump Kick. But then there's Brick Break. So if you don't like Jump Kick, you don't like High Jump Kick, but you want to run Drain Punch, just use Brick Break instead. Same amount of damage. It's going to not really matter if you're healing or not when it comes to the Mienshao. Brick Break is going to be nice if they have Light Screen Reflect. I know it's low odds, but it's still better seeing a Light Screen Reflect than becoming a Pokemon that's going to survive because of Drain Punch. That's just kind of how Mienshao works. So Brick Break, I think it's a better option. Now there is Inner Focus, but that's mostly going to be double battles. And speaking of double battles, Mienshao is a very interesting double battle Pokemon. So you outspeed Kangaskhan, and you one-shot it with a high jump kick. You also get access to Fake Out, so even if you have the Inner Focus, this is why it's so crucial. You can try to predict Fake Out, so you can try to like fake out your opponent as well. That if you know they're going to fake out your ally, then you can still kind of convert damage with something else. Like Kangaskhan is just going to be in a very bad position against a Mienshao, because Kangaskhan tries to fake it out. You're going to take a lot of damage, but Inner Focus is going to make it to where you just turn around the damage and one-shot the Kangaskhan with something like a high jump kick. And then you can also play the Fake Out game. You can have your ally Pokemon be some kind of mega or super powerful sweeper, and then you fake out and then trade and do damage and things like that happen. And then even the Wide Guard. So Wide Guard, this also works for like Earthquake, Rock Slide, Explosion, Heat Wave. A lot of moves are really going to be stopped by the Wide Guard in double battles, and it's really strong on Mienshao. And you can even run this set and then like a high jump kick. So you're going to be the ultimate support Pokemon that can threaten damage at any time. With this, always going to be that Jolly nature, always going to be that speed nature. There's no point trying to put hit points in this Pokemon or defensive investment whatsoever. So you're always going to have that pressure on Kangaskhan. You're going to have that pressure on anything that you can go and beat up neutrally. But then at the same time, there is the threat of Cresselia. There's tanky Ghost-type Pokemon, stuff like that. So what you can do is you can give up the Quick Guard or something like that, depending on which guard you need, because some teams, you don't want that Talonflame hitting you, you don't want that priority beating you down, so Quick Guard is necessary. But if you don't need Quick Guard or you don't worry about Wide Guard, then you can kind of swap it out and put in the Knockoff. So Knockoff, you're not looking to KO, you're just trying to remove leftovers off of a Pokemon that's going to be super tanky. You're trying to get a lot of damage, and the idea is you just cover with that Fake Out, you make that one really cool Wide Guard or high jump kick play, you knock off, and then you get fainted. Like, Mienshao isn't going to directly shine, but it's going to set up your battle for quite the victory, and that's kind of all there is to it. And then there's Life Orb Mienshao. So Mienshao, it's going to be riskier than the Focus Sash and the Choice Scarf, but it's going to be much more damage. You run the Jolly nature, so again, anything that outspeeds you is going to absolutely destroy you, but if you outspeed everything, and this is where you use it as a late game Pokemon, that this is where Mienshao can truly shine as a very OP Pokemon. You get rid of the threats that outspeed it, you get rid of anything that could survive. Now with the Life Orb on top of that high jump kick, it really changes the game up. So say we have Garchomp and then now we just throw in the Life Orb on top of this, that means that now we're going to actually find those KOs onto fully offensive Garchomp. Now tanks and stuff like that will still be a problem for us, but it does change those damage thresholds, so we just can't get outspeed at any cost. So that means we have to dedicate our team to removing the fastest Pokemon on the opponent's side of the field, and then we just use high jump kick, knockoff, poison jab, fake out, whatever we need to kind of decide the battle. Now the cool thing about fake out is it lets you combo. You fake out into a knockoff, or you fake out into a super effective poison jab. That could be a KO right there if you aren't going to be hitting with that high jump kick. There are going to be those times where this is better than Scarf, and Scarf is better than that, and Focus Sash is better than all of them. It's just like this weird triangle that, do you need outspeeds, do you need that second chance, or do you just need to blow up everything once you know that their sweepers have been removed? That's how you use Mienshao, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.